All right. So the story regarding Andrew Gillum, the young, shiny, aspiring Black Democrat out of Florida who gave Ron DeSantis a real run for his money in 2018. After that, Mr. Gillum hit the skids. He hit the skids in a bunch of ways because not only did he come under federal investigation and federal indictment as part of the FBI's sting operation, their what they call that shit. Of course, they call it something corny. It's called Operation Capital Currency, where the FBI sent agents undercover into Tallahassee, Florida, had them pose as developers, and they were trying to ensnare politicians in some corruption, and they were able to snag a couple people. And they thought they had Andrew Gillum and his mentor. He was actually facing all of these federal charges, on charges ranging from fraud and crazy shit and being black in public. And I mean, they charged him with a lot of stuff. I don't know all the charges. It was a lot of charges, and like over 30 charges. Like it was a bunch of charges. Like it was not no little amount of charges. But basically over this year, over I guess the past couple of years, parts of this FBI investigation has fallen apart. And on Monday, the shit hit the skids all the way. Will, if you could pop up the article for me, please, from Tallahassee.com. Tallahassee.com had the story with Andrew Gillum embattled embattled Black Democrat out of Florida. His political resume is actually pretty impressive. Like impressive if you're impressed by such things. But he was elected to be a city commissioner of Tallahassee at age 23. And then I know he served as the mayor of Tallahassee for a duration of time before deciding to go ahead and run for governor on the Democratic nomination, which he won from a pretty crowded field. And we're going to visit actually a portion of the debate betwixt him and Ron DeSantis. And I kind of wanted to, as much as I hate to fucking say it, god damn, maybe in some instances, occasional instances, electoral politics can do less harm. Again, since we're in the business of picking the lesser of two evils, on some issues there is definitely a more evil, but I'll get to that in a moment. But let me get to this case here, guys. So let me start towards the bottom there. Let's keep up the headline there for me, Will, because Andrew Gillum is free to resume his life after Monday. A federal judge finally dismissed the remaining bunch of charges that Andrew Gillum was facing. But back last week, Monday, May 4th, after a nearly 3-week trial, jurors acquitted Gillum on a single count of making false statements, but could not reach a verdict on 18 other conspiracy 18 other conspiracy charges and wire fraud charges against Andrew Gillum and his co-defendant. Several jurors anonymously announced that the 12-person panel, the jury, voted heavily in favor of acquittal, but that 2, quote, biased jurors had prevented a unanimous decision. So the prosecutors Monday, what they said was that they went into the U.S. Circuit Court, District Court, I'm sorry, it's the U.S. court, the federal court, and asked the judge respectfully to dismiss the remaining charges against Andrew Gillum and his co-defendant. And all of this entire case has fallen apart via an acquittal of the charge that I aforementioned, the dismissal, and then there was a partial mistrial of some other charges. But it's interesting to me, guys, because out of this investigation, this FBI investigation, Operation Capital Currency, like I said, some folks did go down. Like a couple of developers went down. These sound like white folks. I didn't feel like clicking on their names to verify. I didn't feel, because I don't really care, but I just I said, damn. I said, it looked like they was locking up white folks. But and somehow Andrew has managed to escape, which you guys, if we examine even a brief recent history, a cursory examination of black elected politicians who have been charged federally or otherwise, them niggas went down. Okay, they went down. They went down. Andrew didn't go down. Andrew's probably got friends in high places, which I find quite interesting, by the way, y'all. Um, let's actually hear from Andrew Gillum a portion of the press conference that he gave on the courthouse steps, standing alongside of his wife and his attorney. And let's hear what Andrew had to say regarding this final closing of has been a lengthy chapter. I think they've been dealing with this for almost 7 years total regarding this federal FBI investigation, him being charged with federal charges, and now everything is gone away. Poof, like that. Let's take a look.
Beauty is that in our system, the powers that be don't always get to decide. Everyday people like you and me sometimes get our swing at the ball, and today the jury took it. There'll be a lot of time for a lot more, God knows, but today all I can muster is gratitude. Gratitude for having the opportunity to have a Marcus Moss at my side. Gratitude for having loving family and dedicated friends and a pastor who doesn't know what it means to sit down somewhere, but was here every day, broke leg and all. But also gratitude for second chances. And I, even as I stand here today in celebration and in gratitude for all the folks I've given appreciation to, I'm also reminded of the people who don't have what we were able to bring to this fight, who are every day being run over by powers more significant than them and don't have anybody to stand for them or with them. And I just got to believe that through this all, maybe one of the things that needed to be revealed to me is that this system is in desperate need of real reform. And I'll just say to be continued.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
y'all very much.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Andrew Gillum says the system needs to be reformed. Isn't that a shame? Like this man just got took through the ringer, literally, right? And he still believes in the system. Well, I guess it worked for him this time. But sir, you need to go and cop you a Powerball ticket, my guy, because that's not how it usually ends for black politicians and black people generally who find themselves on the wrong side of the law. But usually the Negroes in higher places get made an example out of. Well, even the Negroes in low places get made an example out of. They just love making examples out of niggas. Isn't that crazy? Crazy how that works. But what I said a second ago about could electoral politics actually have some benefit? All right, guys. That 2018 Florida gubernatorial race, I think, was amongst the closest in the history of the state. Gillum only lost that race by about 34,000 votes. 34,000 votes. That's not fucking shit in a governor's race, especially not a gubernatorial race in a state the size of Florida. 34,000 votes ain't shit. Andrew Gillum could have easily been the governor, y'all. This is not me stumping for Andrew Gillum. I'm just saying. But contrasted against DeSantis, I don't think Andrew Gillum's passing anti-woke bills. Now, he probably would have passed some pro-police shit. Were he the governor now, he probably would be talking about we got to do something about public safety. He probably would have said he'd be on that stump speech all day. No question about it. But it's pretty clear the shit that he would not have done, that DeSantis has done. Andrew Gillum would not have signed a 6-week abortion ban in Florida. Andrew Gillum would not have denied trans people and trans children access to gender affirming care. He would not have done anti critical race theory. He would not have pulled books off the shelves, right? Trust me, I feel my stomach turning for me to even be saying any of this about any Democrat. It makes me nauseous. But it is the truth. Like I can't even deny the shit that it ain't the truth. Floridians, truly, some of them, trans kids, certainly girls, girls would be women would be better off if Ron DeSantis were not the governor. And at the time, to stand in the way of DeSantis being governor, it would have been Gillum, right? But it ain't. And it wasn't. Now, thank you, Infinite Content. Keep in mind what you're saying there, that they threw tens of thousands of black and brown people off of the voter rolls in the 2018 election. Yeah, because that was before that formerly incarcerated people had their voting rights restored. You're right about that, Infinite Content. Thank you so much for that, Infinite Content. You see what I did there? I appreciate you. That was some good way I spoke. Anyway, but the other part of Andrew Gillum's quote unquote downfall had to do with a sex scandal. And you guys, so much crazy shit clearly has happened over the past several years. I had damn near forgot about this shit. I had forgot that Andrew Gillum, this promising, shiny, cisgender example of black aspirational bourgeoisiness, got caught up in a sex scandal. And this is why I'm wondering if Andrew is being given a second chance. Because I'm telling you, he didn't just beat them charges. I mean, I'm sure his lawyer might have been doing the damn thing. Why not? But if white folks went down and Andrew Gillum didn't go down, Andrew Gillum has somebody with their finger on the scale there. I mean, whether or not, obviously that is nothing that I can prove. That is just my assumption. That's something that I perceive that, because that doesn't usually happen. You understand? Like black folks don't get justice in fucking America. Be serious. So Andrew Gillum got caught up in a sex scandal. Did he have a baby on the side? No. Do y'all remember the sex scandal, right? It was extra salacious because Andrew Gillum was caught having sex with other men in like it looked like they was having a real good time in the hotel. I mean, they had big drinks, they had big drugs, you know what I'm saying? Then there was pictures, right? I can't That's right, that's right. Okay, it's all coming back to me now, because I didn't actually retrieve this. Actually, no. But I didn't fucking read the article. Don't even put that up there, Will, because I didn't get a chance to go over it. But now it's coming back to me because there was video evidence. This my guy, was he on the meth or the cokes? He was doing the party drugs. He was having a good time, right? And there was so much consternation around this guy. Like, how could he do that to his wife? Like, oh my God, like, is he gay? Is he bi? Like, what is he? Does his wife know? Da 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 da. And I thought it was a real revelatory moment, in particular, I think, for that specific slice of the black political class, right? Because middle class, politically engaged liberal Democrats, right, usually tend to be church folks too, right? And as much as I wish it weren't so, there's a lot of homophobia in the black community still. And it's sad. I mean, there's homophobia across the country, but I'm not speaking across the country. I'm talking about my community here. There's still a lot of homophobia, there's still a lot of transphobia. And Andrew Gillum was on the receiving end of a lot of that. And I think that was part of the reason that he retreated from public life. But then after that, he got hit with these federal charges. So then he had another fight on a different front to battle with. But something that I had forgotten is that Andrew Gillum actually officially came out. Do you guys remember this? Let me play you this clip from the Tamron Hall show, when Andrew Gillum courageously announced his sexuality. So let's take a look at that.
Tamron,
Everyone believes the absolute worst about that day. At this stage, I don't have anything else to have to conceal. I literally got broken down to my most bare place, to the place where I wasn't even sure that I wanted to live, not because of what I had done, but because of everything that was being said about me. What was most hurtful was this belief that I was somehow living a lie in my marriage and in my family. That was the most hurtful to me because I believe we're all entitled to mistakes. And I believe we're entitled to those mistakes without having every other respectable and redeeming part of our lives invalidated. And I felt like the love that I have between my wife and I, my family, but most important, the authenticity that I tried to lead with was all in question at this point. And not even in question anymore. Something else had been assumed by that. And to be very honest with you, when you didn't ask the question, you put it out there, is whether or not I identify as gay. And the answer is I don't identify as gay, but I do identify as bisexual. And that is something that I have never shared publicly before.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I can only imagine. I can only imagine what it's like, even in this day and age, in the 21st century, to be publicly outed, right? Before you were ready to publicly out yourself, right? It's got to be scary, right? It's got to be intimidating. And I appreciate his candor there, and I appreciate him acknowledging his partner in that way, acknowledging his wife in that way, because y'all, we cannot make assumptions. Okay, I know we live in a cis heteronormative society, and it's the Adam and Eve and all that bullshit. But even Adam and Eve might ask Steve to to come to the party. Like, don't make assumptions about what grown folks are doing in their bedrooms. You know what I'm saying? And don't make assumptions that even though somebody could be in what is perceived as a traditional relationship, even within the bounds of a regular ass marriage, you don't know what them people got permission to do. Like, some people got permission to go out here and be freaks. Now, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't mean like in a bad way. I actually mean freak in a good way. Like, if people are going to be not monogamous, then it's better, would you guys agree, for everybody, all partners, to be aware of the situation, correct? So I took Andrew Gillum at his word there, that his wife knew what time it was. And I applaud him if he was forthcoming with his wife about his sexuality, I would hope, prior to the photos and pictures of his fun time with the boys, before all that got leaked to the press. I would hope that he told her before then. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt there. But I don't think it's an accident that this still very young, shiny, promising black politician, black Democrat from Florida, who has come out as a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I think that he is being given a second shot at the national spotlight. I think him being acquitted of all these charges, don't well, fuck, they just had an election down in Florida for governor. I was going to say don't be surprised, but he might run for governor next time. I mean, DeSantis won't be there because of term limits. But Gillum, they might run him again or run him for senator. Who knows? Like, he's been acquitted of doing bad shit on the job. And I think his position as a member of the gay community could help to turn the tide, potentially, from a policy perspective, were he to run and get elected. Or this is shit he could run on, that he would roll back all the anti-gay, anti-trans shit that DeSantis put forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they are priming him for another position down there in Florida. And even still, he could eventually make his way to a higher position I don't know about the White House, but maybe senator or maybe even cabinet position. Not that I give a fuck about any of this shit, but I mean, I'm just saying, I do sort of like to speculate about the horse race aspect of it all on occasion. But like, um, I gotta say, I'm happy for him, even though, like I said, black political bougie is not usually a group that I root for. But I root for black people who are able to defeat the fucking system, at least when it is personally attacking them. The prosecutors in this case, in this federal fucking case, did a terrible job. Like, they did not do a good job by all reports. And it's funny, Tallahassee.com, as I read from the article there, that the jury was actually trying to save the prosecutors a little bit of embarrassment by leaking it to the Tallahassee Democrat, the newspaper there in Tallahassee, by leaking it to them that, we was actually going to quit him. It was only two dickheads was holding out for the unanimous acquittal, but you might want to go ahead and drop these because you're not about to win this case. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So interesting shit there about Andrew Gillum. And I hope it helps to broaden the minds, at least, of some of those who are specifically within his constituency base, and those black people that find themselves being liberals and being Democrats. You know what I'm saying? Like, black folks are culturally conservative, right? Like, this should not be news to anybody. Okay, like, the blacks, not the blacks, Jesus, listen to me, but homophobia and people being trans is still not uniformly accepted in our community. You know what I'm saying? It just isn't. And that's a shame. And it needs to be. So if anything, if Andrew Gillum is going to return to the black political misleadership class, perhaps he can at least educate those conservative, culturally conservative black liberals, about broadening their mind and their heart space, to advocate, not just tolerate and accept, but outright advocate, for equality and acceptance of our LGBTQ brothers, sisters, and non-binary folks. Let me take a little